5 strong, long-lasting, fresh fragrances with a huge complementing factor. As an honorable mention, I have here at first Bvlgari Aqva Atlantiqve. It is a very long-lasting, oceanic, fresh, and somehow earthy, salty type of fragrance. Because of benzoin and patchouli gets earthy and salty at the dry down. Reminds me of Versace Dylan Blue. I can say at some points performs better compared to that fragrance and projects louder and also leans fresher. We have more aquatic, marine or oceanic notes here. Just it is an mention because it is a bit difficult to find right now. This one, it is close to be discontinued somehow. So Bvlgari Aqva Atlantiqve, honorable mention. Let's see the main list. Let's start the list by Beau Parfum from house of Gaultier. There is few versions of this fragrance. My most favorite is Beau Parfum, as it is longer lasting and stronger compared to the other versions. If you like strong, sweet, very little aquatic and tropical type of fragrances, this one is a must try for you. Tropical because of a little bit of coconutish note, I have to say, to this one. At the opening, that coconut is very touchable, but at the dry down gets more sweet and aquatic, and you're gonna feel some sort of oceanic feel at the background of the fragrance. At least it is like this for me. I can get also some sort of saltiness at the background of the fragrance. Maybe it is because of ambroxan, but not as salty as, for example, Aqva Atlantiqve. It is not that much in that salty side. If you want more salty vibe, you can go by newest version of this one, Beau Paradise Garden, but I prefer this one as it is denser and longer lasting. I can get solid 10 hours plus longevity with this one. Projection and sillage is good for first 2 hours and has a very huge complementing factor. At number 4, one of the most underrated fragrances from house of Paco Rabanne, which gets solid compliments for me, is none other than Invictus Platinum. It is sweet like most of Invictus fragrances, but not as aquatic, let's say. That aquaticness here is reduced, but we have some sort of added green feel to the fragrance, but still I can say leans fresh, a strong, fresh and long-lasting fragrance. For me, sweetness is here a bit different compared to the other Invictus flankers. For example, in the regular Invictus we have fruity type of sweetness. Here is sugary to my taste, like close to candy flossy type of sweetness. Lasts very long and projection and sillage is solid. I can get very good 10 hours longevity with 2 hours, almost 3 hours of great projection and sillage. Let's continue by house of Yves Saint Laurent at number 3, YEDP. So this one is a sour, citrusy, fresh and juicy type of fragrance. I like that sparkling, fizzy and carbonated atmosphere of the fragrance. Has some sort of soda-ish vibe to it. And for whatever reason, I can get a little bit of grape juicy feel at the background of the fragrance, and it is little green because of lavender. I can get that, and at the dry down gets a bit darker compared to the opening, like woody, earthy or rooty, I have to say. It has that weight to it, but it is mostly in that sour, citrusy, grape juicy side, let's say, to this one. Some say that they can get like 10 to 12 hours plus. For me, it is not as long lasting as Beau Parfum. Based on my experiences, Invictus Platinum or Bvlgari Aqva Atlantiqve, I can get solid 7-8 hours plus longevity with this one, with 2 hours of good projection and sillage, but not a 12 hours plus lasting, at least for me. Number 2 is one of the newest fragrances in my collection from house of Rasasi, a solid release, Hawas Ice, with a wrong name. When at least when I hear ice, I expect something very minty, very refreshing, cooling. It doesn't give me that refreshing, cooling feel, as it is also sweeter compared to the regular Hawas. In terms of the sweetness, I have to say this one is like sugary, but sweetness in the Hawas is fruity. That's why I feel this one is not as fresh as Hawas. That sugar, I can say, killed that freshness of the fragrance a little bit, but it still leans fresh, like 70% fresh. Name is a little bit here misleading, like for example Stronger With You Freeze. That one is also not that much freezing or cooling or frosted type of fragrance. It's just a little bit more citrusy compared to the other stronger versions. So this one is as well, it is not, at least for me, fresher or icier than regular Hawas. It is still fruity. You're gonna get that Hawas DNA like 70%, but we have some sort of twist and differences here with different added sweetness. Let's say, man, this one lasts like 12-14 hours plus on my skin and leans a bit more synthetic compared to the regular Hawas, and projection and sillage is great for first 2-3 hours and gets muskier at the dry down, exactly like Hawas. Number 1 is not as long lasting as Hawas Ice, but it is definitely more complimenting. That's why it is at number 1. It is more complimenting compared to all of the fragrances that I already mentioned. Missoni Wave. So it is highly inspired fragrance by Chanel Allure Sport, but compared to that fragrance leans more aquatic. We have added oceanic feel here, more citrusy and more creamy, but less minty. I have to say minty is here reduced, or at least I cannot get that much minty feel, but it is definitely oceanic, citrusy, sweet and creamy. It has not one of the most crowded or complex type of scent profiles. For example, Le Beau Le Parfum is for me more complex. You're gonna get a ton of different notes, accords here. This is simple compared to most of fragrances, but way more complimenting and acceptable, especially from women. Last on my skin 10 hours. 680 sprays with this one. And projection and sillage, I would say projection is average or at some points soft, but sillage is bigger compared to the projection. It is like room filler and leaves a very long scent trail behind. Take care, guys.